These adorable pudding pots have been all over social media, but are they actually good? Let's discuss. Starting off with some product details. These pudding pots are multi-use lip and cheek products, as the name implies. This has a unique pudding formula, which is very squishy. I'm sure you've seen all those satisfying videos of people squishing their pudding pots with a little brush. The Bounty formula is pigmented, but very easy to blend. I think the matte finish is very flattering and genuinely blurring. It really fills in the lip lines and looks very smooth. That blurred soft matte look carries over between the lips and the cheeks. And they come in a big range of shades. There are 30 shades to choose from, each grouped into 6 color families or moments. They're divided into nude, coral, pink, red, rose, and mauve. So you can easily identify which kind of color you're interested in. fwee also has a useful chart separating the colors into seasons, so if you'd like to choose based on your color season, then that's really useful. You get 5 grams of product in this pot. The packaging is of course a standout. fwee's entire brand has this cute, round, rotund aesthetic going on, and pretty much if you package anything in a cute container, I will buy it. Not only is the packaging aesthetic, but the jar itself is made out of very good quality glass, so it is quite a weighty pot. It feels like a well-made container. Let's talk about the comfort next. This is where I don't love the product as much. I find that it is more of a drying matte formula and not as comfortable as my other favorite K-Beauty matte formulas. This product has a dry, powdery feeling texture on the lips. It feels smooth, but not creamy. There's not much moisture there, and I wonder if that's because it's a pudding formula and not a liquid formula. So there's not much creaminess, there's not much moisture. It feels like I've gone through and powdered my lips with a thin layer of powder. So I do find it to be drying and not as comfortable as other matte formulas, but I've not seen it mentioned much in other reviews, so maybe I just have dry lips than others. Onto the longevity. I'd say the product lasts decently well. It's not fully transfer proof and it doesn't stain the lips, but very little comes off if you're just drinking. Like if I just kiss my hand now, a little bit comes off, but not a lot. At this point, I've had this on for maybe about 6-7 hours. I've not eaten anything, but I have been drinking water and tea. And yeah, it stayed on quite well. Oh, it does settle into my lip lines after a while, as you can see, but that is completely normal. That happens with basically every single lip product. I have lines in my lips, so of course, products are going to settle in them. If you eat a meal, you will need to reapply, especially if it's an oily one. In terms of reapplying, no problems with that. It doesn't bunch up or anything, it layers on top of itself very easily. The only thing to consider is that because it is a pot formula, you may need to carry around a tool with you to reapply it throughout the day. Obviously, you can just go in with your fingers, but for hygiene reasons, I prefer to use a tool to do that. I like to use the finger-like silicone lip brush from fwee. This has a really interesting silicone tip, which is squidgy, but this actually smooths out the product very nicely on your lips. Really helps to get that blurred, diffused look. So I like to carry this around with the lip product just so I can reapply. Again, not saying you need one of these things, but in case you don't want to use your finger, you will need to carry around a tool. Another thing to consider is that if you do want to carry this around to reapply, the glass jar itself is pretty heavy, so that could be a little inconvenient. Fortunately, fwee did come out with these cute little key rings that you can actually depot the product into and clip this onto your bag, so you can just carry this around with you instead. They come in a set with the lip pot. This is kind of a marketing gimmick, but I do find that it is genuinely useful because this is far lighter and smaller than carrying the glass jar around. Onto the swatches. First up is RS02, the shade Lyrics. This is a soft brown coral rose with a warm undertone. I think it's a very pretty muted rose shade, very everyday friendly, but I think it's maybe a tad light for me. I think it would look even better on my light medium olive complexion if there was just a bit more depth to it, but otherwise a very pretty shade. Next up we have CR02, which is the shade Boy. This is a coral pink with a warm undertone. This is a beautiful bright shade, but I think it's a little too saturated for me as a dark autumn. This is designated as a spring shade. I just bought it because I thought it was really pretty and I wanted to try it anyway. But yeah, I think this shade would look amazing on a spring. Lastly, we have MV05, which is the shade Boss. This is a deep purple plum with a cool undertone. This is the deepest of the 30 shades, but I actually don't think it looks that deep on me, even with multiple layers. Maybe it's because I'm a light medium skin tone and the model in the official swatch photo seems to have very porcelain skin, so of course the shade would look a lot darker contrasting against her skin tone than mine. But I do also find that the shade pulls a lot warmer on me than in the swatch photo. Overall, this is my favourite shade. I think it suits me the best out of the three, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous on the lips and the cheeks. Lastly, I just want to show you a comparison between other matte K-Beauty lip formulas that I have in my collection that also give that blurred look, just so you can see what else is on the market that's similar. My favourite K-Beauty matte lip formulas are the Peripera Ink Velvet and the Romand Milk Tea Velvet Tint. Now these two are a liquid lip tint formula, not a pot formula, but I think that difference is probably what makes these two a lot more comfortable. Because these two are liquid, they have a lot more moisture to them, and they have a creamy, velvety texture on the lips, which doesn't dry them out even after wearing them for the whole day. I far prefer the creaminess that these two formulas have compared to the powdery feeling of the fwee pudding pot. These two also give a very similar blurred, beautiful appearance on the lips, and they have the added bonus of staining the lips, so there's greater longevity as well. These two do transfer more when you're eating and drinking than the fwee, but as I said, they've got that stain to help with the longevity, and you can also reapply them as well. These two are also far more affordable than the fwee, around £8 on YesStyle, compared to, I think, between £14 to £18 I've seen for the fwee, depending on which website you buy it from. So, onto my final thoughts. Do I think these fwee lip and cheek pudding pots are worth the hype? Finish-wise, I'd say yes, they do give that blurred, matte, beautiful appearance. They look very nice on the lips and they do blur like the product claims. But in terms of comfort and longevity, I'd say there are other matte K-Beauty lip formulas that I prefer, like the Peripera and the Romand that I mentioned earlier. Overall, I am very glad I tried them. I really like the packaging. I think it's very cute and adorable to look at. Every time I see it in my collection, it just makes me smile. And the finish is beautiful, but it's just not my perfect matte lip formula. I prefer something that's more comfortable and less drying. But as I mentioned earlier, I've not seen many reviews talking about dryness as an issue with this, so it could just be that I have particularly dry lips. But if you're interested in trying this out and you like the aesthetic of it and the blurred look and dry lips aren't really an issue for you, then you might really enjoy this. If, however, dry lips are a concern for you but you still want that matte blurred look, then you may want to check out that Peripera or Romand formula that I mentioned earlier. And that concludes the review. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. If you enjoy honest recommendations, reviews with a focus on K-Beauty, then you're in the right place. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.